All right, so I'm doing a little bit of a different one here today. I'm not gonna be playing a game. Instead, I am designing a boss for my players' next session in D&D. Um, just for a little background, here's the map of my world. They are up here in the mountain range, the Restless Rise. They have been sent up here to deal with another member of the evil cult, called the Octagonant. It's a group of 8 who are following another mysterious entity that the players have not figured out who they are yet. Um, but he's dangerous, kind of puppet master behind the scenes, and he's got these 8 people. They have already dealt with 3. They have dealt with. I have my phone over there that has all the stuff in it. They dealt with a half elf named Zanaya. She was dubbed the Shadow of the Forest. They had this green area right down here is just a massive jungle. They went into there and dealt with her. Then out in the open sea, I think it was down in here, they dealt with the Terror of the Seas, is a Triton captain of a living ship that chased them around, and then eventually they fought the captain. Both of the 2 of them are alive because Zanaya was misguided. She really was just taken advantage of, and the Terror of the Seas is only alive because of one of the old player characters' honor. So he's playing a samurai, so he was only alive because of not wanting to strike down a already defeated opponent for honor reasons. So he's missing both of his hands, and they have talked about killing him, but he is still alive at this point. The 3rd member they took down is not alive. It was a Death Slod, who I had tweaked a little bit. So he was using a lot of homebrew spells. He's using a lot of darkness related spells. So like firing blasts of dark energy and whatever. So they've already dealt with the 3 members, and they're heading the next session we'll play. They'll deal with the 4th. Now the reason they're dealing with them, the backstory of the world is that the monsters were killed in a series of monster hunts. I believe at the time they're at now 127 years ago. There was a mass, just like cities and nations banding together to go wipe monsters off the face of this continent. Excuse me. So they've wiped out all these monsters. That started creating issues. Like not all monsters. So there are exceptions to the rule. There are dragons who were too powerful to be entirely eliminated and too smart. There were some of the monstrous races like goblins and orcs didn't get killed off because they're more civilized than the average monster. But there are some exceptions like that. Bigger like Kraken. There's no way they would have been able to hunt down every Kraken on this plane of existence and rid the world of them. So there are things like that, bigger, more primordial, or just otherworldly threats that they didn't manage to wipe off the face of the planet, but a lot of them they did. So no monsters in the world for a long time. Well, that started creating tension between these different all these different kingdoms. Particularly Drangleic had wiped out Dessyria. They had became the Ashlands was destroyed by a volcano in the heart of the Ashlands somewhere around here, and now the only city that remains is the capital of the Ashlands, Ebonheart. Drangleic, I have a lot of Dark Souls names in here. I'll admit that right away. Drangleic, Lothric, and Boletaria are all Dark Souls names. Um, and then Ashina. There's Ashina up here. That's from Sekiro. Because I needed names for areas, and I was like, screw it. I'm not. Until now, I'm not broadcasting this to a great number of people, and I'm not even gonna try and hide it. I know what I did. But uh, so yes, I have Dark Souls names. Those are gonna change in the future once I actually want to sit down and change names after this campaign is up. Then that'll happen. Um, but that aside, these different nations have started, like, tensions are getting high. Like, war is on they're on the brink of war, when all of the sudden, within the last couple of years, monsters start popping up again. But it's not the same. They're new monsters that have never been documented before, and it's causing a lot of issues. Because now, as this war is starting to happen, now these random monsters that nobody knows how to deal with are popping up. So there's a lot of a lot of bad stuff going on. But it is eventually discovered by the party that these monsters aren't just popping up by happenstance. Someone is summoning them into the world. So that's what's led them on this little quest, and they've at this point discovered the group known as the Octagonant. They took them a while to figure out. They, like, encountered the first member, and that's when she didn't get killed, partially because of the samurai. And when he spoke with her, she was like, she had her whole explanation. That was months ago now. I can't remember all the details, but she basically helped him out, gave him some advice, and let him in on what the deal was. But she was also, like many of the other members of the Octagonant, cursed, and whenever she tried to recall who the leader was, any description, name, anything, just completely vanished from her head. So, and that's happened with each member that they've interrogated. They did not interrogate the Slod, they just killed the Slod. It wasn't gonna cooperate anyway, let's be fair. So now they're heading, each member trying to gather more information, trying to figure out who the leader of this thing is. They've kind of dealt with a smaller sub-leader who is the top of the Octagonant. Pyromancer Belial is his name. And he's kind of been the more upfront villain for them. He's the tangible villain, the one that you can see right in front of you. They know there's a guy behind him pulling the strings, but they haven't got to see him yet. And I'm building up to that eventually. But right now they're heading to face a Goliath in the highest point in the Restless Rise, which I have described the highest point of the Restless Rise as being over, like, imagine 3 Mount Everests stacked on top of each other. That's how high this mountain is. Yeah, whatever. You want to talk about the atmosphere, and who cares? But this mountain is just massive. It is a spire that can be seen from almost anywhere else in the continent. So they're headed straight to the top. So this next session that they face, which will be in a couple of weeks, because we got another DM who's running right now, they're being dropped up there by the queen of the dwarven city that I have. The queen is a emerald dragon. Just cause, why not? But they delved into the Underdark, and they helped some of the dwarven prisoners. They saved dwarven prisoners from Drow, attempting to sell them. And for that, the queen repaid them by delivering them up higher on the mountain, where they could not get themselves so easily. And so their next session is going to be journeying through this frozen. It's going to be trying to navigate through these frozen mountains, and it's going to be, they're going to be dealing with exhaustion. They're going to be dealing with, I don't know that they're going to have any combat leading up to the big guy, because I want him to be the focal point of the session. But they're definitely going to be dealing with harsh environments leading up to him. And they're also going to be greeted by his goddess, the Lady Freed, I believe I named her. Lady Freed is the goddess of ice, and where is my sheet for the gods? Come on. It's down here. So yes, Lady Freed, the goddess of frost, of ice, of snow, basically all of that stuff. She's a chaotic good, I believe. I don't know why I immediately tossed my book away after reading it. Yes, chaotic neutral. She is chaotic neutral. So she basically she has him as her champion, and but the leader of the Octagonant has fooled him into helping. It has fooled Voramok, the name of the Goliath, into helping him by making Voramok think that he's speaking as the goddess, and has cut off his connection to Freed. So Lady Freed is going to appear to them and basically just beg them not to kill him and to somehow restore her connection to him, because this mysterious man behind the scenes is completely blocking her from speaking to Voramok. So that's going to come into play. So they will absolutely have the choice if they just want to outright kill him, because they don't have the samurai anymore. He died, and the player's playing a different character. So they can choose to just kill him, but she will reward them in a way if they help her and help Voramok. Now, getting to Voramok, he has the title of Wound Speaker, which I just came up with off the cuff and was like, sure, that seems like he'll make an interesting boss. So basically, he's going to have an ability during his turn. He's going to be able to use his multi-attack, and then he's going to be able to use his voice, which is really what I was gonna flesh out more here, because his voice is going to be able to do different things. Like, one of the ideas I had was to have his voice, he has one shout or cry or whatever term I could use to where it's essentially just an AoE 20 feet around him, and people have to make a con saving throw. If they succeed, they're good. If they don't, their body starts to collect frost. They start to get a chill, and as ice just starts to grow on them. The first level will be like losing speed, so like your speed is halved. They're not going to take any damage from it, but it's like speed halved. You can you lose your reaction. I haven't fleshed it out all the way, but then come back around to their turn, they have to make another saving throw, another con saving throw. If they fail, if they pass, they're good. If they fail again, then it advances as the ice starts to creep up more, covering more of their body. They'll get a +1 to AC, but they will lose their movement speed entirely. They won't be able to move at all. They will only be able to take one. They will either only be able to take an action or a bonus action, kind of like slow. get the effect of slow, and as this ice just starts to encase them. If they fail it a third time, they are completely encased in ice and they are dead. So, little bit brutal. My players are level 10, so, and I have 7 of them. So, and I will allow also, if they fail con saving throws, another player can break them out of the ice. They have to use their turn to do it, but they can break them out of the ice. Not once they're dead, but any stage 1 or stage 2, they can be broken out of the ice by another player. So it's got its kill situation where, yes, absolutely, somebody could be negligent and fail 3 con saving throws, and there goes their character. But they also have ample opportunity to prevent it. They pass that first con save, they're good. They pass that second con save, they're good. Even if it's about to advance to stage 3, if they pass that con save, they're fine. If they fail that con save, they're dead. So I feel it's balanced just because it gives them multiple attempts to get rid of it, and it's not just like only con saving throws can get you out of it. If one of the other players takes their turn to break them out, they're good. So that's just going to be one of the things his Cry can do, but that's really what I wanted to do today. And I've already taken up like 15 minutes just explaining the lore and explaining what I want to do, so I'm going to actually open up the notepad and start typing things down. So, and I can get fussy over how the things are spelled, because that's actually not how you would pronounce it, but I don't really care. I'm just going to pronounce that as Voramok because that sounds cool, and I don't know how you would spell Voramok because that's not a real word. This is one of the things with making D&D names is, one, you always have to look up and make sure you're not typing something offensive, which we'll do that right now. Nope, doesn't exist, except on SoundCloud. What? Just a random artist on SoundCloud. Okay, well, you know what? I think I'll be fine. So, yes, Voramok Wound Speaker. I should call him Voramok the Wound Speaker. So I've already got some of the things settled, like AC. He's going to have a 21 AC, because my players can seem to manage to hit a freaking 35. One of the players is a ranger, and he has consistently rolled in the 30s on some of his attacks. So, you know what? He can suck it up for a 21 AC. He's got like a plus freaking 15 to hit, so I gotta make AC matter somewhat. I also gotta make him freaking tanky because he's playing a what's it called? The type of ranger. Whatever it is, he gets to shoot 3 arrows in the beginning of his turn, and he consistently deals like over 50 damage on his first turn. So I need to make these guys beefy to be able to withstand it. When it comes to strength, he'll have a 26, not 36, a 26. Dex is a 20. Con is a 22. It's gonna bother me. Intelligence is only an 8, so he is lower than average intelligence, which that's going to be his weakness. Why do I keep doing that? Wisdom is 14, and charisma is a 14. So he's got a good range of stats. Where does I want to do the... I'll do parentheses here. Turn off the cap lock now. Parentheses is going to be... He's going to have a plus 13. Dex, he's going to have plus 5. Con, he's going to have a plus 11. Wisdom, let's see, minus 1. Correct, yeah. Also, I know these aren't accurate numbers for like what a player character, if they had these stats, would be, but you know, it's a monster. I can do whatever I want, so it's the way I'm gonna make it. Excuse me. Oh, I forgot to do the shift. That's what it was. Okay, so he's got damage. Resistance is to force and fire. So the only reason I do the force is because I made the mistake of giving my ranger player a bow that has fractal arrows, so basically every time he fires his bow it's a magic missile. Even when he misses, it still hits. I made that mistake so I have to somewhat reel that in. So like my Slod was completely immune to force, he was completely immune to necrotic. This guy's just going to be resistant to it. I don't want to take it away from him completely, but I do have to kind of rein it in a little bit. He's going to be immune to cold. And he is going to be immune to condition. Condition immunities is frightened and paralyzed. I'm not gonna type them all the way out. Actually, what's the Pokemon abbreviation? I forget it. I'll just type that. I know what it means, so that's fine. He has magic resist. So he's just this. His main thing is he's gonna draw out combat for a long time. He has legendary resists 3 times per day. And now I'm moving on to actions. So thus far, I don't feel like this is too crazy. He's going to be completely immune to any cold damage. My reasoning for that is he's living up in the highest mountain in the world, and that's just his natural habitat. So he is so used to the cold that nothing cold affects him. So like you firing what's the chill touch is necrotic. What's the other one? My brain's blanking, but that's not gonna do anything to him. So that's my reasoning for cold. Fire, I have debated if I want that to be him, or I wanted to create his environment and make that part of his fight. Because I could say they're fighting in a cathedral. Cathedral's too grand. Just a chapel, a church, basically. It's gonna be a big open area, but it's not like, I guess cathedral is the right term, because it's gonna be a just giant room, uh, pews long gone, uh, and just pillars lining up, and it's mostly wrecked, and it's snow covered, and it's freezing. So I've debated making his area like giving him a layer, pretty much. So like he inherently is not resistant to fire, but just the nature of the area is so frigid, so cold, that it takes the strongest of fire spice, the strongest of fire, basically magical fire, like fireball, whatever, scorching ray, to even survive here. Like even your like winds blowing, air is below zero, so like your campfire is just gonna fizzle. So I've debated doing that, and I don't think that's a bad idea. Um, because why not? It's I could add the extra, you know, something I've never tried before with doing a layer, because I haven't run a layer. I'm fairly new to DMing, and I haven't run a creature with a layer yet. So I've thought about that. I've debated that. But for right now, while I'm working on it, while I'm just kind of workshopping this guy, I'm going to keep it as he's resistant to fire. Now, when it comes to actions, he's going to... I don't know if I want to give him 2 or 3 greatsword attacks. I don't want him to just be able to dish out this ridiculous amount of damage constantly with how much health he has. Now, of course, I'm probably underestimating my players, and they'll probably shred through his health bar. But that's the kind of thing that I can fix in the moment. I want him to draw this battle out, which is why I've also thought about using the layer, giving it the initiative count, and having it do things as well. Maybe the layer, maybe his voice isn't what does the freezing. Maybe that's something the layer does. I've thought about these things just because I'm trying to make these encounters big and memorable. So I've decided with this guy, he's going to be the tank. They're gonna just be ramming their heads up against a wall fighting this guy. So for that reason, I don't want him dealing out an incredible amount of damage. So for right now, what I have written down... Hey girl. Hey puppy. Right now, what I have written down is he has multi-attack with his greatsword. So he makes 2 greatsword attacks. His greatsword is named Titan's Glacier. It's essentially just a giant slab of ice in the shape of a greatsword. So it's got plus 10 to hit, so he's going to be hitting often. He'll have reach, so he can hit him from a little bit further away. 2d6 slashing, 1d6 cold, and then 2d6 slashing plus 5, and then 1d6 cold. So, average, he's going to be doing... Well, the max that he could do with a single hit is 2d6 plus... So, 12, 16, 12, 18, 18, 23 damage. 23 damage per hit, so if he manages to max on both, which is unlikely and it won't happen, maxing on both would put him over 40 damage. It'd be 46 damage, which would do some significant damage to the weaker of my party, but like the barbarian, we have a turtle barbarian, he'd soak that up. And it's also completely likely to miss with the turtle barbarian because his AC is 21. So anything lower than an 11 misses. So I don't think that's completely unreasonable, especially since he won't be dishing that damage out constantly. So for for a creature that's going to just be soaking up hits, I feel like that's a decent... I'm going to go ahead and type that down. Because I think that is reasonable. Thanks to... I'm not loving this keyboard. I've gotten used to the keyboard of the laptop that I have and not the keyboard I have to push out to the middle of the desk. Makes 2 greatsword attacks. His greatsword... Actually, I'm going to reword this. Makes 2 attacks with... Also didn't capitalize his name. 2 attacks. Titan's Glacier. Titan's Glacier. Plus 10 to hit. Reach 10 feet. Gosh. And I spelled reach wrong. How did... I don't know how I hit a J in there. Plus 10 to hit, reach 10 feet. On a hit. 2d6. Plus 5. Yeah, we'll do plus 5. 2d6 plus 5 slashing. 1d6 cold. I think that's reasonable for his greatsword. He doesn't need to be too crazy. Then we're gonna do... We'll call it Wound Speaker's voice. So I want 4 different things that can happen with his voice. So I'll do the... Basically, the one I described already is going to be like a Medusa. I don't remember what their actual term is, because I know it's not a Gorgon, because that's the metal bull. But yes, basically when Medusa does her look, her petrifying gaze, it's essentially that, but reflavored to be ice. So... speaks in an unknown... No, I don't want him to speak in an unknown tongue. How do I want to word this? 'Cause he like... I don't want to say yells. Vormok. Hmm. Speaks with an ancient language. How about that? Did I spell? I didn't spell ancient right. Brain. Gosh. A N C. There's no H. That's what I was doing. ANCIENT. Feel stupid for having to look that up. It speaks with an ancient language. Applying one the below the oh my gosh. I apologize for that. The dog has quite the mouth on her. So, applying one of the effects below. So, first, we're gonna, what do we name that? Absolute Zero? Sure, why not? It's cheesy, I love it. Vormok shouts. Vormok shouts. Chilling. Everyone in a 20-foot radius to the bone. Everyone affected must make a con saving throw on a fail, or no, on a success. They are unaffected. On a fail, I'll go fix spelling errors afterwards. On a fail, ice begins to materialize. No, not the button I meant to hit. Materialize on their body. Slowly encasing them. First stage. What if I type that out? We'll do first stage. Movement cut to half. What other effect could it have? I don't want it to just be movement on the first stage. -2 to hit, maybe? Yeah, we'll say a -2 to hit for stage 1. -2 to hit. -2 to hit. This begins. Around the body, seemingly sprouting out of. No. We won't even. I don't even need to describe. It's just a thin layer. I mean, ice materializes around their body. That's enough. I can embellish it whenever I'm actually DMing. Second stage. Move and dropped to 0. -5 to hit, but +1 to AC. Because why not? I mean, it probably won't play a factor in the battle, but hey. I don't need to type all that. It's fine. Third, why did the number not work? Third stage. Frozen solid. Yeah. And a block of ice. Did. Okay. So make each of these their own little separate thing. So yeah, basically I think how I'll explain it is the shout comes out and you start to feel it like in your joints and the bones and everywhere. You're already freezing from being up on this peak, and somehow it just chills your soul. And then everybody makes their con saving throws. If not, you shake the feeling and you continue to fight. If you fail, then around around your wrists and your arm and your shoulder, your knees, just ice slowly starts to materialize, and it's restricting your movement a little bit. You're not able to move quite as fast because you're trying to kind of deal with having ice just randomly sprouting up around you. If it advances, then it starts to like completely encase your arms and parts of your chest, and just kind of stretching everywhere around your body, and just slowly creeping further and further. So you can't really move. It's kind of frozen you into place because it's come down around your feet and just kind of anchored you where you are. So you're completely unable to move. Because of the ice growing around, it's a lot harder to move your arms. It's a lot harder to fire your bow, swing your sword. So you'll take penalties to hit. You get a +1 to AC, though, because your body's covered in ice, and that would go some ways towards protecting you. But third stage, the ice finishes its job, creeps completely around your head, into your body, just kind of like your bones freeze solid, your organs are preserved in this cooler of ice, and of course your heart and brain would stop and you would cease to function. So there goes the character, basically. So I'll figure out how I'll explain that to the characters, make it cinematic for them if it happens. I kind of hope nobody dies that way, because maybe only one person in my group would be like, "Oh, that's stupid," but I don't think it is. I think it's fair. If you manage to keep failing that and nobody helps you, then yeah, it's reasonable. I'm also gonna have a little thing there too to really solidify that, is other people encased in ice. So you kind of see when this attack comes out, oh shoot, that's what happened to these people. I can't let that happen to me. So there will be context clues. I'll run it like that. So we've got that. That's one of the effects that his shout can have, which I want 4, so I can roll a d4, and just randomly determine the effect. So I guess I like having that random, where I don't just get to fire off one thing every single time he shouts. Shoot, I just kicked my desk. Yeah, what else can we do? So we've got this kind of status effect thing. We could make somebody frightened. We could do that. We could also, let's go. This is the funniest spell on this website, by the way. It's just it's if you watch football, I'll let you read that for a bit, but you can pause it here and read it. It is freaking hilarious. But let's go to 5e spells. Anything in here? What kind of spells are these? So these are conjuration spells. I want all spells. All spells. You know what? Let's do like 5th level. Give me 5th level spells. Assquake. Okay, that's, you know what? Alright. Whatever boats your float. Chromatic explosion. No. That one's really messed up. Conjure skeletons. Conjure joke. Call credit. Ooh, I know. I have a sheet for a frozen zombie. So Call to the Dead, and maybe what's another word for cold? So I wanna keep it on a theme. So call to the Frozen, maybe. Sure. Call to the Frozen. I wanted this. One down. Call to the Frozen. Mock. Why? Wow. I can't even spell my own stupid names. Vormok yells, shattering the ice around of the frozen skeletons. Summons I didn't type around 3 of the frozen skeletons. These skeletons act on Mock's turn. They act on Vormok's turn, or maybe they act on the environment's turn. We'll tweak that later. So they act on Vormok's turn. Oh, I think I need anything else for that one. So that's reasonable. Summon some guys. Won't happen all the time, so we won't just be constantly summoning these skeletons. But it gives him some sort of way to level the playing field, so to speak. They're not strong skeletons. They're like CR1s, so they're probably going to be dispatched instantly. But they will. What I'll have it do is, instead of this, take their turn, take their turn immediately, so they will get a turn. That guarantees the skeletons getting to act. And they'll probably be eliminated if somebody decides to focus on the skeletons, or maybe they hang around because the party wants to try and take down this guy, in which case they would. Which I'll put that in there right now. Mock is to 0 hit points. skeletons. Skeletons refreeze. There. Alright, that's 2 down. I've been going for like an hour now. Jeez. No one's gonna watch this far. What else? What else can I do? So we got a summoning one. We've got a status effect one. We could just do a flat damage one. So let's make these all frozen and voice related. So absolute 0. Absolute 0 shout. Let's capitalize this. So let's do one that does flat damage. So there are other good terms that could be used to describe cold. Grab my phone. Been on the charger. So, you know what? I've been running for about an hour. I'm going to call this one here, and I'll maybe continue this on another time. So, well, I'll leave this up. That's fine. So, I hope this was interesting. I know it was just a lot of talking, and maybe this would work better as like streaming on Twitch. If anybody would be interested in that, let me know. I have the same name over on Twitch that I do on here, and should be the same icon, just the beholder. So, thank you everybody for watching, and have a wonderful time. You know what? No, I've been doing the peace.